The sight of Caleb standing in his father's living room was an undeniable shock. 2 years had passed since the breakup, yet the effect he had on Leo was instantaneous, a jolt that quickened his pulse. Caleb was still strikingly handsome, but a new hardness had settled in his features. After the New Year's countdown ended, Caleb spoke at his mother's prompting, his voice low as he told Leo it was time to head up to their shared room to sleep. Leo's father looked at him with an expectant air, leaving him no choice but to nod and rise from the armchair. Caleb followed him up the narrow staircase of the old house, his tall frame a heavy presence behind Leo. He didn't say anything, but Leo could feel his gaze fixed on his back, a prickling sensation that set his nerves on edge. Leo's mind raced, and he abruptly turned at the top of the stairs, murmuring that he needed to use the bathroom first. Caleb merely grunted in acknowledgement before disappearing into the bedroom. Standing before the fogged mirror, Leo unbuttoned the top of his shirt. With a grimace, he twisted the skin over his collarbone, hard, until several angry red marks bloomed against the pale surface. He was about to leave when he heard Caleb's voice from the room, a gentle, indulgent tone that was both achingly familiar and utterly foreign. Caleb was on the phone, soothingly asking if his baby couldn't sleep, suggesting a walk in the garden and promising he would be back tomorrow. A hot flush of shame washed over Leo for his pathetic, manipulative gesture. He quietly retreated back to the sink, splashing his face with frigid water. When he re-entered the bedroom, Caleb had ended his call. Caleb's brow furrowed as he took in Leo's damp face. He sneered, questioning if Leo was trying to fake an illness to complain to their parents about him. He reminded Leo that even if he'd promised his mom he would look after him, Leo shouldn't delude himself into thinking they were actual brothers. Caleb warned him that his act wouldn't work, that he might fool his mother, but he would never fool Caleb again. He told him to stop the drama. The coldness in his voice was a stark contrast to the warmth Leo had just overheard. Any explanation died in Leo's throat. He heard his own voice come out, hard and clipped, telling Caleb not to be so full of himself. That wasn't what he meant to say. Caleb's mocking expression instantly hardened. He rolled over in bed, turning his back to Leo, and the room was filled with the incessant ping of incoming messages as his thumbs flew across the screen. He was likely texting his baby. Leo feigned indifference, drying his face with a towel. He remembered how needy Caleb had been when they were together, always needing to know where he was, what he was doing. For a couple in love, it was a charming quirk. Now, it just made Leo feel like an intruder. After composing himself, he went to the closet to get the spare comforter, only to find the shelves bare. Caleb remained absorbed in his phone. After a moment of hesitation, Leo knocked on his father's bedroom door. Mark explained with a wink that the other comforter had gotten too thin, so he'd thrown it out. He told Leo that since they were both men, they could just share one for the night before rushing him out. From inside the room, his stepmother, Sharon, added apologetically that if Leo was uncomfortable, she would buy him a new one tomorrow. She assured him that Caleb was a very still sleeper. Defeated, Leo returned to the room and sat on the edge of the bed, pretending to scroll through his phone. He reasoned that he had pulled all-nighters before. Surely it couldn't be more awkward than sharing a bed with an ex who clearly despised him. Caleb's voice, laced with poison, cut through the silence. He asked if Leo was disgusted by him. He went on, his voice a cruel parody of self-deprecation, mocking himself for being childish, clingy, and a control freak. He mused aloud that he might just lock Leo in the room and have his way with him, then concluded that of course Leo would be disgusted. Staring at his phone, he added a final venomous barb. assuring his brother that he wasn't that pathetic. He finally glanced up, his eyes cold, and threw Leo's own past words back at him. "Don't be so full of yourself, Leo felt the blood drain from his face, grateful for the dim lighting of the old house. Caleb remembered every word from their breakup. The hatred was palpable. Leo wanted to apologize, to explain that controlling someone's freedom was wrong, that he was sure Caleb wouldn't want to end up in jail. Before he could speak, Caleb looked at him with disbelief and tossed his phone aside. He ordered Leo to turn off the light. Silently, Leo slid under the covers on the far side of the bed and switched off the lamp. Pride was important, but the unheated room was frigid, the temperature hovering just above freezing. Caleb's larger body radiated a furnace-like warmth that slowly began to permeate the blankets. He drifted in a haze of troubled thoughts until sleep began to claim him. But either the blanket was too small or Caleb was too large, because one of his hands had slipped out and was growing numb from the cold. He was too tired to move. Just as he resigned himself to the chill, the body beside him, which had been as still as a corpse, moved. A long arm reached over, carefully tucking the blanket around him. Then, with practiced ease, Caleb pulled him into an embrace. Leo froze. Caleb, half asleep, seemed to stiffen as well. The cold air was banished, and a disorienting warmth enveloped him. It was a comfort so profound it made his scalp tingle, a familiarity so intense it made his fingertips tremble. Early in their relationship, Caleb had been a proud, boyish man. Despite his clinginess, he always waited for Leo to make the first move before he would, with feigned reluctance, take his hand or lean in for a kiss. But over time, his true nature emerged. He would declare that winter demanded constant hand-holding and pull Leo's hand into his pocket. He would argue that kisses on the nose and mouth were not mutually exclusive. He would whisper how much he liked him, how he wanted to keep his bed warm. And Leo had agreed. One winter night, Caleb had been so overjoyed to be sharing a bed that they had talked until 3 in the morning. When Leo woke up, Caleb had wrapped the entire comforter around himself, and Leo was burning with a fever that left him delirious. The guilt had gnawed at Caleb for a long time, and he never again suggested they share a bed. Until the day Leo found a coil of rope on Caleb's side of the mattress. Caleb had stammered an explanation, holding Leo's cold hand, his earnestness melting the winter chill. He had been planning to tie himself up to correct his sleeping posture, desperate to keep Leo warm but still wanting to be close. Leo, turning his head to hide a smile, had mumbled that practice required real-world application. They should move in together. Caleb's face had lit up that day, a grin so wide it seemed permanent. And he had kept his promise, developing the habit of tucking Leo in every night. A habit that now felt like a venomous snake, biting at a heart Leo had thought was long dead. He wondered if Caleb tucked his baby in like this. After a moment of tense stillness, Leo turned his head to stare at the faint glow of the night light. He told Caleb to have some self-respect. He felt Caleb hesitate, his gaze on him. Then, Caleb's voice was harsh in the darkness. He retorted with a childish "no, you," and asked if Leo really thought he was still interested. He threw Leo's words back at him again, telling him not to be so conceited, and that he despised people who wanted to have their cake and eat it too. With a cold laugh, Caleb turned away, pulling the entire comforter with him. It was so juvenile. Did he need to announce to the world he was taken? A lump formed in Leo's throat. He didn't reply, simply pulled the collar of his shirt tighter and draped his down jacket over himself, curling into a ball. Despite the cold, he slept soundly, a strange warmth spreading through him as the night wore on. When he opened his eyes, Caleb was gone. The comforter he had stolen was splayed across the bed, a single corner draped over Leo's shins. That explained why his legs felt so warm. But something else was wrong. Sharon's worried voice cut through his grogginess. She exclaimed that he had a fever and shouldn't have been working so hard over the holidays. Mark stared at the thermometer with a grave expression, insisting he had enough money for them and Leo should rest. Sharon hovered nearby, her concern palpable, finally asking if Caleb had stolen the blanket. She lamented that her son was supposed to be taking care of his older brother. She was a kind woman, and Leo had never resented her presence in his father's life. He couldn't bring himself to tell her that yes, her son, his ex-boyfriend, had stolen the blanket as an act of petty revenge, causing his fever. Besides, he had brought it on himself. Looking in the mirror that morning, he saw the marks on his collarbone had deepened into ugly bruises. He suddenly understood Caleb's anger. Did Caleb still care? But he had a new boyfriend now. At Mark's insistence, Leo agreed to take the day off. He sipped the warm water Sharon gave him, his eyes downcast. With Caleb gone for the day to be with his baby, at least he wouldn't have to face the awkwardness or his own chaotic thoughts. Even as their parents' marriage made them family, their lives were separate. He had his career, Caleb had his inheritance. They would likely become the most distant of stepbrothers. The fever made him drowsy. The bed, now his alone, was warmed by his own body heat. He slept for hours, a deep and dreamless sleep. When he surfaced again, a hand was testing the temperature of his forehead, followed by a forehead pressing gently against his own. He instinctively turned away, murmuring for his dad to stop, that he wasn't a child anymore. A soft, almost inaudible chuckle echoed in the quiet room. It was a sound he knew too well. His body tensed. Forcing his heavy eyelids open, he met Caleb's unnerving gaze. His fever-addled brain must have been failing him. How had he not recognized the hand wasn't his father's thin, wiry one? He asked why Caleb was back. Caleb's expression was contemplative as he said he'd figured something out. He stated it as a fact. Leo didn't have a boyfriend. Leo's reply was stiff, insisting that Caleb had never asked, and he had never answered. Even if he did, he added, it was none of Caleb's business. Unfortunately, the fever had not only muddled his brain but also rasped his voice, making the words sound less defiant and more like a pained complaint. Caleb seemed to understand his intent, however. His eyes narrowed, and he leaned in closer, his voice dangerously low. He declared that it didn't matter. Whether Leo had someone or not, he was to break it off. He told Leo to be with him. Otherwise, he would tell Mark how his own son had seduced him, only to toss him aside. Caleb's fingers tightened on his chin, a cold smile playing on his lips as he revealed what he had figured out. He hissed that he should have just locked Leo up and had his way with him from the start. Caleb held a grudge. Leo struggled, his face flushing with anger and humiliation as he spat at him to let go, calling him a pervert. Caleb's face darkened, and he raised a hand as if to strike, shouting back, asking if Leo wanted to see what a real pervert looked like. A sharp knock on the door cut him off. Mark's booming, cheerful voice called for them to come for dinner, telling Leo to have some soup before sleeping more. The relief was overwhelming. His own father, his savior. Compared to the stilted formality of New Year's Eve, this meal was far more relaxed. This relaxation manifested in Mark and Sharon beginning to pry into their sons' respective love lives. Mark lamented that all Leo ever did was study and work, wondering why he hadn't found a nice girl yet. Sharon chimed in, saying Caleb was the same, that he'd only had one relationship and had been a complete wreck when the girl dumped him. Leo almost choked. Across the table, Caleb shot him a look that could have set the wood on fire. Under the table, his long leg nudged Leo's calf insistently. Leo paled, thinking with a surge of indignation that it was just a breakup. There was no need to become a deviant over it. Caleb then added, with faux innocence, that his brother was probably the one who did the dumping, unlike him, who was so pathetic he didn't even realize he was just being played with. Leo looked away. When he and Caleb had been together, his father had been sick in the hospital, and he was just a college student on the verge of entering the real world. His plan had been to wait until his career was stable and his father was healthy enough to handle the shock before coming out. But life rarely follows a plan. Caleb had a bright future, one that shouldn't be entangled with Leo's uncertain path. He couldn't sacrifice his only family for a love that seemed destined to fail. Now, Caleb had a new partner and Leo had a stable life. This childish revenge had to be nothing more than a whim. Still, a flicker of anger remained. He remarked to Sharon that young people often kept their relationships secret from their parents. Sharon paused, then noted that Caleb had been on his phone a lot lately. When she'd asked, he claimed his dog knew how to make phone calls. She had known he was joking, but now she looked at her son with renewed suspicion, asking if he was hiding a girlfriend from her. The conversation had shifted. All eyes were on Caleb, who, for once, was too preoccupied to glare at Leo. He grumbled that his dog really could make phone calls. Leo focused on his soup, a dog that could make calls. After 2 years, he hadn't even come up with a better lie. After dinner, Caleb took a call and rushed out. Mark and Sharon shooed Leo out of the kitchen to do the dishes together. Leo slipped out onto the small balcony for some air. His eyes fell on a pair of thermal underwear Caleb had staunchly refused to wear, now draped over the railing. A few stray cat hairs clung to the fabric, likely from a neighborhood stray seeking shelter. The sight sent him back in time. Caleb had the boundless energy of a star athlete. He was everywhere on campus, a well-known face who brought life to even the most obscure clubs. Leo, needing CRS and organizational experience, was always working behind the scenes. So, despite being 2 years ahead, he knew the name Caleb Vance well, though they had never met. Until the university's singing competition. On a whim, Leo had attended the semifinals. A junior from the student council buzzed around him, insisting he had to stay to hear this one guy who had an amazing voice. A strange premonition flickered through him. He later realized it was intuition, him of a love affair with no happy ending. Of course, the next performer was Caleb. Tall, handsome, and radiating energy, he had the crowd screaming from the first note. The winner was obvious. As Leo prepared to leave, the speakers crackled and died. The backing track went silent. The crew backstage scrambled, and a murmur went through the audience. But Caleb, standing alone in the center of the stage, simply glanced out into the hall and continued singing. His a cappella voice was steady, perfectly on key. The chaos of the crowd became his backdrop. He was a solo performance in the middle of summer. Acting on an impulse he didn't understand, Leo found himself at the piano, his fingers finding the melody to accompany him. Caleb's eyes swept over him again, and this time he missed a beat. After the competition, a video of Caleb's a cappella performance went viral on campus, but it was accompanied by a wave of comments crediting Leo with saving the show. The junior council member argued fiercely that the president deserved most of the CR. Leo found the whole thing absurd, but he couldn't fault the kid's loyalty. So when Caleb cornered him a few days later, Leo assumed he was there to settle a score. Instead, the tall underclassman blushed and looked away. He had stammered, asking if Leo wanted to see his cat do a backflip. Caleb's excuses had always been terrible. He didn't come home that night. Sharon fretted that he was always so busy between his studies and taking over the family business. She confessed her own feelings of inadequacy, how she had been too afraid she couldn't provide for him after the divorce and had given up her fight for custody. It was clear she felt a deep sense of guilt. The next day, Mark declared they were going out for a big meal and to buy Leo that new comforter. Sharon protested the expense, but her face was wreathed in smiles. Walking behind them, listening to their playful bickering in the mild winter air, Leo smiled too. For so long, after his mother's death and his father's illness, their small home had been devoid of life. This feeling of warmth brought another memory. When his father had been transferred to a hospital in his university town, he had insisted Leo not spend all his time in a hospital room, giving him money to go out with friends. Leo had taken the money, bought a bear costume and wholesale roses, and sold them on the street to earn extra cash. It became a habit, until he met Caleb. He hadn't yet decided to be with him, but Caleb had somehow found out. He'd shown up in a matching bear costume, a goofy grin on his face, and spent the night helping him sell romance in the falling snow. It was that year, his second in the north, that he had finally fallen in love with snow. Mark's excited voice pulled him from his reverie. He was pointing across the plaza, asking if that wasn't the same kind of costume Leo used to wear. Leo followed his gaze and saw a clumsy brown bear mascot selling roses. He also saw Caleb buying one, and next to him a young man in a mask. The young man tugged on Caleb's sleeve, and Caleb turned to him, his expression soft. He handed him the rose, then leaned down, pulled the mask away, and playfully flicked the man's sharp chin. The man's face came into view. Leo had seen him once before, 2 years ago. He yanked his eyes away, his movements mechanical. He grabbed his father's arm and pointed in the opposite direction. His voice strained as he asked if they should go see the light show that seemed to be starting. Mark, easily distracted, grabbed Sharon's hand and hurried off. Leo stood frozen for a moment, unable to look back. He didn't want to see their intimacy. He numbly followed his parents. The light show was dazzling, the crowd loud and joyful, but he felt a hollow ache in his chest, as if the winter wind was blowing right through him. So that was Caleb's baby. The same person who had offered him money to leave Caleb 2 years ago. He felt like an absolute clown. His feet felt rooted to the spot. His father noticed he wasn't keeping up and called back to him, asking if he was unwell. Leo blinked, forcing a smile. He told him he just didn't want to be a third wheel. Mark grumbled good-naturedly but held Sharon's hand tighter, a wide grin spreading across his face. On the way home, his father, whose left leg was prosthetic, began to limp. Leo moved to support him, but Sharon was already there, subtly taking the weight off his left side while teasing him about being a grump. His father had found his other half, the one who would support him. The weight Leo had carried for so long was suddenly gone. It left him feeling a little lost, but mostly strangely relieved. That night, his dreams were a chaotic mess of fragmented memories. The secret, forbidden nature of their love. The way Caleb would steal a kiss under the cover of fireworks. The clumsy, aborted attempt at their first time together. Caleb's fumbling hands and whispered frustrations in the dark, full of an unrestrained, youthful passion. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple in the dream. His mouth felt dry. He reached out, his fingers finding the familiar shape of Caleb's ear, pinching the tip gently. He murmured for Caleb to be good. The dream Caleb paused, then bit down on his throat, a feral, desperate act. His sweet puppy had turned into a wolf. A feeling of injustice washed over him. It was bad enough Caleb was cruel to him in reality. Now he was being a brute in his dreams too? He tried to push him away. A voice, raw and close to his ear, broke through the haze. It had been so long since Leo had called him by his nickname. The warmth was too real, his body's reaction too vivid. The dream shattered. He snapped awake. It wasn't a dream. Someone slammed the bedside lamp on, flooding the room with a sickly yellow light. Caleb was on top of him, his face buried in Leo's neck. One of Leo's hands was wrapped around the back of Caleb's neck, his fingers absently stroking his ear. The tangled blankets did little to hide the undeniable physical evidence of their arousal. His mind went blank for a second. In the next, he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. He stared at Caleb. Caleb's handsome features were flushed with desire, his eyes red-rimmed and vulnerable. Seeing Leo awake, he began to kiss his hand, a desperate, pleading gesture. He whispered Leo's name over and over, telling him how much he missed him, asking how he could have been so cruel. He insisted Leo still had feelings for him, promising he wouldn't lock him up, begging him not to push him away. The night had eroded his resolve. Before he knew it, he had surrendered. Caleb was eagerly pulling at their clothes, his mouth full of breathless, lust-filled promises. He swore it wouldn't hurt this time, that he was older now. Leo's mind was still reeling, his body, deprived for 2 years, responding with an intensity that shocked him. But as the initial haze cleared, reason began to creep back. Just as Caleb lunged, raw and boyish, Leo's leg shot out, kicking him hard. The tall man landed on the cold tile floor with a heavy thud, looking utterly bewildered. A second later, confusion turned to fury. He roared at Leo, demanding to know if he had any conscience left. Leo watched him coldly, taking in the pathetic sight of him splayed on the floor, red-faced and exposed. A self-deprecating smile touched Leo's lips. Men were all the same. He was, and Caleb certainly was. He had probably gotten very practiced with his new boyfriend and had come back to settle a score. His voice was like ice. He stated that his conscience told him not to betray one's partner in a relationship. Caleb's face darkened. He shot back, asking if it was okay for others, but not for him. What others? It had nothing to do with him. He told Caleb he shouldn't be trying to seduce him while in a relationship. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. His expression must have been thunderous. Almost simultaneously, Leo's fist connected with Caleb's stomach, and Caleb's hand closed around his throat. He was slammed back against the headboard, and he kicked out, aiming for Caleb's groin. Caleb yelped and dodged, exclaiming in shock, "Leo, are you crazy? That's for you." Mark's questioning voice came from the hallway, asking what they were doing and why they were still awake. The fight stopped instantly. They locked eyes, a silent, momentary truce, and called out in unison that it was nothing. They were going to sleep. Maintaining peace in front of their parents was perhaps their only shared goal. The light clicked off. Leo rolled over, wrapping himself in the new comforter. Caleb did the same with the old one, curling up like a shrimp on the far side of the bed. The next morning in the bathroom, Caleb shouldered him aside to get to the sink. They brushed their teeth in front of the mirror, their expressions fouler than a Monday morning. As they passed the kitchen, they heard their parents murmuring about how well the two brothers were getting along, how they must have stayed up late talking. Leo and Caleb glanced at each other in the mirror and sneered. The downside of his father's remarriage was now starkly clear. Even after a night of near sex followed by a near brawl with his ex, he had to sit across from him at the breakfast table and perform the part of a doting older brother. Caleb at least had changed in 2 years. His skin was thicker, He slipped back into his role as the charming stepson with unnerving ease, all smiles and politeness for Mark. The sound made Leo's skin crawl. He couldn't bring himself to be so familiar with Sharon. He heard Caleb ask Mark if it was really true that Leo didn't have a partner, suggesting maybe he was just hiding it. Mark replied that Leo worked so much he barely had time to eat a hot meal, let alone date. The conversation drifted over Leo as he helped Sharon prepare some vegetables, but he could feel Caleb's intense gaze on his back. He figured Caleb must have realized his argument from the night before was baseless. That boy never could win a debate. He just needed to go back to his boyfriend. As he silently cursed Caleb, he had to make pleasant conversation with Sharon. She was still complaining about Caleb's ridiculous excuse about the dog. Leo agreed, commiserating that it was indeed an absurd lie. It was just like when Caleb had claimed his cat could do backflips, only to lure him to an esports cafe and show off his gaming skills for an entire evening. It was just a weird line from a weird mind. After a full day of playing the happy family, Leo woke up tangled in Caleb's comforter, with Caleb's arms slung over him. Caleb was still half asleep, nuzzling his neck. Every inch of their bodies was pressed together, and Leo was acutely aware of Caleb's physical reaction. He hissed Caleb's name, telling him to let go. Caleb's grip was too strong to escape from quietly. He was a pervert. The commotion woke Caleb, who tensed but didn't release him. Instead, he shamelessly snuggled closer, his voice a petulant whine. He asked what Leo was so mad about. He wasn't the one who did the dumping. He wasn't mad anymore. He pleaded for them to get back together, cooing that Leo obviously still liked him, otherwise he wouldn't get so excited. The shameless puppy was trying to wheedle his way back, and Leo almost gave in. But a final shred of self-respect held firm. He reached down and pinched, hard. Through a twisted expression of pain, Caleb stared at him in disbelief. Leo adopted Caleb's own cold smile. He too had figured something out. People can learn to be bad. He called Caleb a pervert for chasing his ex while having a boyfriend. He admitted that still having feelings for him was his own pathetic weakness, and told him to get lost. Caleb repeated the word, stunned. Boyfriend? Leo scoffed and kicked him away, getting out of bed. He told him not to play dumb, mentioning the roses and his baby from the other day. Having accepted his own lingering feelings for a scumbag, he felt strangely liberated. Feelings were one thing, but moral lines were another. Later that day, while Mark and Sharon were out, Leo made a call. A number he hadn't saved but knew by heart. He told the person on the other end, Julian, that it wasn't about Caleb, but he'd like to meet. In a cheap coffee shop downtown, the elegantly dressed young man looked out of place among the high school students on dates. Leo walked over and sat down opposite him. Julian greeted him first, his expression as haughty as it had been 2 years ago when he'd handed Leo a check and told him to leave Caleb. Leo's own calm surprised him. He greeted him back. 2 years ago, his father's condition had suddenly worsened, requiring a surgery that cost nearly $1 million. It was a sum that was utterly unattainable for a college student. The weight of it was crushing him. Caleb had noticed, holding him and promising to help with whatever it was. But Leo's pride, his stupid, pointless pride, wouldn't let him ask. The next day, Julian had found him. He had told Leo he had come to this university for Caleb. He had said Caleb was destined to take over a family empire and couldn't end up with him. He had talked about matching social statuses. Then he had shown Leo their world, the corporate headquarters, the sprawling estate, the private stables. He had asked if Leo understood now. The gap was too vast. He had handed him a check for $1 million. It was laughable. A kid, barely an adult, had bought Leo's relationship with $1 million. But he had also bought his father's life. Leo felt no resentment toward the young man sitting before him now. Julian asked why he had called the meeting. Leo smiled faintly. He slid 2 bank cards across the table. He explained that one contained the $1 million he had been saving since college. The other contained $120,000, a bonus from a recent project. A repayment with interest. He explained that he wasn't breaking up with Caleb because of the money, but he was grateful for it nonetheless. Now they were even. Julian seemed confused, asking if this meant Leo was trying to buy back his right to be with Caleb. He seemed to find the idea absurd. A right to be with him. Leo shrugged and stood up. Perhaps he still had feelings, but it didn't matter. He wasn't going to be a third party. $1 million was nice, but he needed to buy back the dignity that foolish college student had lost when he accepted that check. As he turned to leave, he added one more piece of advice. He suggested Julian find a better solution than paying people off, and that he should be wary of Caleb. A cheater was a cheater. When he returned to the house, Caleb was waiting behind the door, a mocking smile on his face. He asked if Leo had returned from a walk of shame. The brief moment of satisfaction from settling his debt vanished. He tried to brush past Caleb, but the front door clicked shut. Caleb blocked his path, his playful tone gone. He asked why Leo didn't want to be with him. He said he could explain about the other day. Leo cut him off, his voice tired. He told Caleb he had already met with his fiancée, and that he should just focus on his relationship and stop bothering other people. It was disrespectful to him and a betrayal of his partner. Silence descended. When Leo opened his eyes, he was met with a clumsy, urgent kiss and Caleb's grin splitting his face from ear to ear. What fiancé? There was no fiancé. He shouted that Leo was jealous, that he didn't just like him, he was madly in love with him. Leo was stunned. He could accept his first love ending in failure, but he could not accept this degenerate ex dancing in front of him. He grabbed Caleb's shoulders, bent his knees, and struck. A swift, precise blow. He straightened his collar and looked down at the man now groaning on the floor. Caleb clutched himself, whimpering in pain. He dared a peek down his pants and seemed relieved that everything was intact. He stayed on the floor, looking up at Leo with a pathetic expression, a mix of pain, confusion, and sorrow. He begged for an explanation. What fiancé? Leo sat on the sofa and laid out the entire story from 2 years ago. Every detail of his meeting with Caleb's supposed fiancée. He even pulled up the old text message with the phone number. He asked Caleb if he didn't recognize his own fiancée's number. As he spoke, Caleb's expression morphed from confusion to fury. By the end, he was staring at the number on the phone, his jaw clenched. He shot up from the floor. He gave Leo a long, intense look and promised to be right back. He stormed out of the house, the door slamming behind him, his roar echoing down the hall. Julian, you are dead today. Wait, Julian's last name was Vance. 2. Later, at dinner, Sharon mentioned again how busy Caleb was with his father's business, how seeing him was harder than getting a meeting with the mayor. But she added that he had matured this year, staying for 3 whole days instead of leaving right after the New Year's meal. She praised Leo, suggesting his good influence was rubbing off, and told him he should feel free to discipline Caleb on her behalf. Leo choked on his food, coughing until tears streamed from his eyes. When he finally recovered, the door slammed open for the second time that day. Caleb blew in like a tornado and dragged him out of the house, with Sharon's indignant shouts and Mark's muttered Happy New Year fading behind them. Half of his brain was trying to ask where they were going. The other half was stuck on something Sharon had said earlier in passing. Caleb had a brother. He found himself back in the same coffee shop, sitting across from a bruised and battered Julian. Caleb sat on his left, and a border collie sat on his right. Caleb pulled out his phone, opened the contact named Baby, and played a voice message. A string of happy barks filled the air. Then he gave the dog a tablet, and with a few commands, the animal adeptly opened an app and started a video call. Caleb looked at Leo triumphantly. His dog really could make phone calls. Leo stared at Julian, who, under his brother's oppressive glare, stammered out the whole story. He'd heard Caleb had a boyfriend and panicked. If Caleb didn't produce an heir, the family business would fall to him, a fate he desperately wanted to avoid. So the then 18-year-old had taken inspiration from a bad TV drama and offered Leo his entire savings, his $1 million trust fund, to disappear. When Leo asked why he hadn't denied being Caleb's fiancé, Julian mumbled that it just seemed easier at the time. Caleb looked ready to commit murder. He gave Julian another cuff on the head, handed him the dog's leash, and told him to take it home. As Julian scurried away, Leo remembered the scene with the roses. He now understood that the intimate gesture he'd witnessed was not a kiss, but Caleb delivering a similar blow to his brother's chin. The two men stared at each other across the table, and then, as if pulled by an invisible string, they were running, hands clasped, out of the coffee shop. The misunderstandings, the hurt, the 2 years of anger, it all melted away in the face of the truth, replaced by a wave of regret. Why hadn't he just asked? They barely spoke in the hotel room, the 2 years of silence and longing erupting into a storm of rediscovered passion. On the last day of the holiday, the family atmosphere was thick with tension, though Mark and Sharon seemed to think their sons were simply getting along better than ever. Leo and Caleb had decided to wait until after the holidays to tell them the truth. But their plans were cut short when, in the middle of the afternoon, the doorbell rang. It was Caleb's biological father, a stern-looking man in a tailored suit. With him was Julian, Mr. Vance's gaze landed on Leo, and his eyes narrowed on a faint mark peeking out from above Leo's collar. Without preamble, he announced he was there to discuss the relationship between his son and Leo. He turned to Mark and asked him bluntly what he thought of his son dating another man. The room fell silent. Mark looked from Mr. Vance to Leo, then back again. He drew himself up to his full height and said, "Yeah, I know. So what? His mother is dating me. Why can't he date my son? They're not related by blood." The defiance was palpable. Mr. Vance sputtered, shouting that they were both men. Mark shouted back, asking what was wrong with that. Caleb interjected that he was financially independent, his business funded by his own scholarship money. Mark, bolstered, added that Leo also earned his own money, and even if he didn't, he could love whomever he wanted. Mr. Vance was defeated. He fled, forgetting Julian in his haste. As soon as he was gone, the bravado left Mark. He looked at Leo, his expression pained, and began to apologize for not being a better father, for not being around more. He thought it was his fault. But then Julian, surprisingly, stepped in. He calmly asked Mark and Sharon if he could speak with them privately about what had happened when Mark was sick. He gave Caleb and Leo a reassuring nod and shut them in the bedroom. Left alone, they talked. Caleb explained his family situation, the loveless marriage, the two sons who both wanted nothing to do with the family business. He confessed that for 2 years, he had planned to mature, take over the business, and then come find Leo, but he had ultimately chosen his own path. He asked Leo quietly what he had been doing for the last 2 years. Leo told him everything about the projects, the long hours, and the single-minded focus on saving enough money to buy back his own peace of mind. As they talked, tucked under the covers, A sense of calm settled over them. Whatever their parents decided, they had time. Leo turned to Caleb. He said he forgot to say something. Caleb waited. "Happy New Year." "Happy New Year, Leo," Caleb whispered back. Just then, the bedroom door opened. Julian stood in the doorway, giving them a silent thumbs up. His lips formed the words, "Congratulations. It's all good."